okay? But right this minute, as of right now, we have 5 core channels, right? But they're in 3 ecosystems primarily, right? So it's ByteDance is TikTok. In China, it's called Douyin, right? And Douyin is actually a genuine threat to Alibaba's reign. And if you look at budgets, we just did a piece on this, people are allocating almost as much to Douyin as they are to JD or more. That should tell you something. So we all operators, all brands, we all know the market's moving there. So Alibaba is still going to be the big one, right? Their ecosystem, at least if you sell products that women buy, you cannot avoid Xiaohongshu and Tmall, right? You can, it's at least half of your sales. But the other half, we used to think it would all be in like JD, and maybe you have like a VIP thing for fashion, whatever it is, not so much. Now that Douyin is, I think this is going to be the next wave, and I think it's going to be big. So I think you're going to see them take a big chunk, and maybe even out of JD in non, like JD's strong in appliances, 3C, things like this. Yeah. And other things like beverage, they do huge volume, very strong in like spirits and in wine and beer and stuff. But it's very limited, right? And there's still a chunk of sales, but I'm seeing that shrink and I'm seeing the other one pop. So it's quite an interesting change. And I don't know what's going to happen now because it's mushy. All the ecosystems, all their walls are down. We don't know what the final result is going to be. Is traffic going to come from here to there to go? It's going to bounce around. We have no idea. Consumers seem to prefer 2 modes of commerce, live or marketplace. Live is that Hollywood show. It's engaged with an influencer, but that could happen in 3 places. Kuaishou, which is big in a lot of different categories. I'd love to see my clients get in there when they get to scale. Douyin is the biggest, and Tmall. So you've got Douyin for short video plus live stream and commerce now. Alibaba is the biggest still in live stream commerce by far. You know, they pioneered it and they still have a big chunk of the revenue, but 2020, it was like 80% market share. And this year it's not so much, you know? So I think they've dropped, and I think other platforms are taking a big chunk, but that part to me is exciting. It's not a good thing that everything's controlled by 1 or 2 people or 1 or 2 groups. It's actually good for brands now. They have choices. They have a word that I can't even believe I'm saying, but it is true: leverage. I think we're getting smoother onboarding processes with the platforms. It's easier to get on, it's easier to get support, easier to get into events, more flexible arrangements in terms of marketing and programs. And I think largely this is a great thing. And for brands, it lowers their risk of dependence on any 1 or 2 things. So they now have multiple channels. It's more diverse. It's more complicated to operate, and yes, a little more expensive. However, it's way, way less risky. And I think it's less expensive overall. As an example, if your brand is bought by JD, so for example, you get into JD's Lian, you have like a fixed cost of sales around 21%, including logistics, and no other expenses. So let's say that's 15, 20% of your revenue. Well, that's beautiful, right? It's high margin. If you do the same in Tmall, right, you're going to pay a higher cost of sale because it's a marketplace and it's very competitive. So depending on your structure coming in, you can make lots of money in different ways. And you also don't have to get forced into discounting.